calibrate the camera here. All right, we're good to go. I just want to make sure that this guy is reading. But hey Warriors, this is part 4 of our code along on how to build a fight judging application. I am going to be covering a lot tonight. In fact, I'm gonna just make it a fucking marathon. So far, we have the admin section as well as the server for the admin section together. The server is going to serve in unison for both of these guys. Excuse me. And then, but the two sites are going to be under 2 different entities. Because that's just security 101. We've been using ReactJS, NodeJS. I said we were going to style it, but I think I'm going to save styling for the very end, because recently I've been telling people you need to polish stuff up last, and why would I polish up a piece if I know there's going to be glaring defects that we're going to have to change. So last time the video cut out around the point where we were updating the fighters, the fights themselves. And really all I did for the update fight was I just created a method or a function here that took an index, a property of an object, and then the event being like whatever value the user is changing it to, because React requires an onChange method for any time you want to dynamically change the value. So basically all I did was I created a let variable updated event that equaled this.state.event.info, and then I had updated event.events square notation for index saying, hey, this is the fight, and then prop was this is the property of that fight, and then we set it equal to whatever the user types in. And then we have this set state, which just basically tells React, yo dude, something is going on. So before I begin, guys, I just want to let you know that my Dojo, who happens to be my little brother, you guys probably caught him doing a lot of the playthroughs. He's my little brother, and he was telling me today that about a year ago we had about 40 subscribers. Now we're up to 1,831, and our videos combined have gotten over 100,000 views throughout YouTube. So I just wanted to thank you guys sincerely. And keep in mind, guys, I really don't get much out of this in terms of like monetarily. I get nothing out of this, guys. I just do this because I'm trying to help the community. So all I ask is, if you're getting something out of these videos and they're helping you become a developer, or even just a better developer, or even just like giving you an idea of how the sausage is cooked, so to speak, it would really be cool. Me and Dojo, and soon Justin FYI, my podcast co-host, we're greatly going to appreciate that. So, all right, that being said, let's just dive on in. So I'm going to go to my terminal. I got ls, and then I need to go to cd fight score. And then from here, all I need to do is just run an npm start. And that's going to get Webpack kind of cooking for us. And it's going to be listening for us on port 8080. So now I'm going to open up a new tab with basic settings. Let's go back one. Now I need to go to our fight score server. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run node server. And we have a server server. Okay, cool. So now let's go into localhost 8080. And let's go to events. And now in UFC 209, we see that there's one fight scheduled. We can edit that fight. Let's say it turned into a championship fight and it has 5 rounds, and then we're going to save that. Cool. So now it has dynamically done that through the server, and we refresh. Oh, just a sec, guys. That is not good. All right, so if we go to Developer Tools, Edit Fight, 5, Save. Let's see. Oh, I need to make an actual network call. Haha. So basically, once it sets the state, what I want to do is just do this .save event in our save fight function, which is what this guy right here is. And all it's going to do is when it's time to save, this turned into a championship fight, it's time to save. Now when we refresh it, it's going to get refreshed. One enhancement that we're going to make towards the end is instead of making a call to Mongo every single time for these fights, we're going to store it all in memcache, and then we're going to be grabbing data against memcache. I mean, that's going to be the best way for us to not fry out our free Heroku server. And I'll show you guys how to do that at the end of the video. So right now it's good. We can edit the title. We can edit the date. But what we can't do is we can't add another fight yet. So I think we should go ahead and do that. So going into our create event structure, there was a add blank fight function. I'm just gonna copy and paste this in there, and I'll show you guys how to use reusable code in a sec, or sometime in this video. So I'm gonna add a blank fight to the case, and then let's do this dot add blank fight equals this dot add blank fight dot bind, and we're gonna bind this to it. Cool. So now what I want to do here equal this dot state dot and basically what I'm going to do here is just do event info, and we'll turn this into updated event, and then let's do updated event dot, I think it's event fights dot push. So basically what we're doing here is we're going to update all we're doing here is we're pushing a blank fight into our event right now, and it's going to set it as undefined, and I want to get rid of this is editing, and then what I'm going to do instead is I am going to save the event after we push this. Yeah, because we're going to want to save event. So we'll do this dot save event. Because as you guys remember, anytime we render, we're going to look for that blank ID, for that Mongo ID. And if that doesn't exist, then we're kind of shite out of luck. Okay, so now once we save that new blank fight to the event, we are gonna need to add a function that says, hey, add a new fight. So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a div tag. And we're just gonna put, and we're gonna clean up the styling, guys. Add new fight to card. Oh wait, actually let's just add a button for right now. Fuck we're gonna do some massive cleanup on this in a sec, guys. Not in a sec, but some. What the hell? Oh, because of that. All right, so I'm gonna add a button that says add new fight, and let's put this underneath here. And then let's do an onClick method. We'll use a little ECMA6. Or do add blank fight when the user clicks that button. Now let's just see what happens. I've never quite done this before, so let's get on to it. So I'm gonna refresh, and our code didn't break yet. So I'm gonna want to add a new fight. Each child in the key iterator prop should have a prop that says blah 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 blah. All right, so if I edit that fight, so it's gonna give a warning for right now. But once we edit it, we're fine. But that shouldn't be the case. So why don't we do this? Let's create a random number generator, and then if the fight ID hasn't displayed yet, we'll just bring up a random number generator. Because it should. Once we get to this point, it should be fine. So we add a new fight, edit. All right, let's just make sure that this is working first. All right, so if I do, well, and it is working because it's, yeah, so if this part's working, then it should be fine. Okay, so we'll address this right now though, because you can't have undefined as an ID. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create some reusable functionality. And to do this, let's just go here. I'm sorry for the little scatterbrain, guys. We'll call this one functionality. And then from here, what I want to do is I want to create a new file, and this is going to be, we'll just call it common functionality.js. And in this file, what all I have to do is just do export constant, and we'll set that, what do I want to call this? Random number generator equals, and then this is basically the ECMA6 way to write a function. And then basically what I'm going to want to do is I just want to return math.round. And then we'll do, let's do, yeah, just type in some random numbers, and we'll do multiply by math.random. So it's basically going to give us a random number, multiplied by that number, and then send that number back. So then this should be available to us. So all we need to do to make it available in this event function is we're just going to do an import, opening, closing curly braces, and I'm just going to do a random number generator from, and now I need to go up to functionality / common functionality.js. And then here, so that our shite doesn't, our crap doesn't break. So if that, or it doesn't have a fight ID. So basically what it's saying is, look, if this fight hasn't been created yet, in the eyes of the site itself, then what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to set the key to fight._ID, or we're just going to have random number generator return that for us. So let's see if that'll work. And it does. And we lose this stuff right here. Then if I edit it, and we'll just do Chuck Liddell versus, I don't know, Tito Ortiz, and it'll be like the 19th time those guys have fought. It's going to be a 5-round fight, and when we save it, it's saved. Now I'm going to refresh it, and boom, there we go. So now we can add new fights after the event has taken place, and that's all fine and dandy. But what we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to create just a simple user interface, and then we're going to use SocketIO to start to interact between both, if that makes sense. So first things first, in our, actually let me just make sure that we're still live. All right, well, my internet is still working. Start to interact between both, if that makes sense. So cool. Well, I just saw me watch myself teach, and it's kind of awkward. Okay. So next thing I want to do is I'm going to want to open up recent, and it's going to be my fight score server. And let's do that in a new window. Then I just want to go to my server.js, and this time I need to do give it some HTTP action, and just a sec, guys. I'm gonna pull up some info that I had on GitHub.com, and I've done this like a bunch, but sometimes it's good to just look through some of your older projects. If you guys aren't following me on GitHub, then shame on you. Shame on you. So I remember I need to import HTTP. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right. Yep, I got to import HTTP. Then I have to create a server, and then the server is going to listen to whatever port it is. And basically I do this change here to make sure that I use process.environment.port, because when you go to Heroku, it's going to create that as an environmental variable, whatever port you're on, or you go to 3000 saying, hey, this is port 3000, this is what I'm using. So let's just do that. So I basically got that down. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to kill my server. And then what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to do npm install -- save HTTP. Okay, now that we have HTTP, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create var HTTP. I'm going to set equal to require HTTP. Okay, cool. So instead of listening to port 3000, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create a server. And what it'll do is I'll just do var server equals http.create server. That's what I did. Yeah. And I'm going to pass in app. All right, now let's just take a look and make sure that everything. Oh wait, and then I need to do server.listen. That's going to listen into port 3000, and this is what I'm going to need to do ultimately when we lock up SocketIO. But let's just make sure that everything just works as intended. So I'm going to run node server. Node server is running. Now when I refresh this guy here, we can still get the data, meaning that the server is still running as it should. Let's edit one more fight just to make sure. It'll be Sam Pong versus some bum for 3 rounds. Save. It still saves it. Our server's still running. We're just going to need to use this for the SocketIO implementation. So now that we have that, let's build a simple GUI for the user, because all this is going to have to be intertwined, so to speak. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to minimize this. I'm going to want to file new project. This one's just going to be empty, and I want it. This guy, I'm going to call it fight score UI. Just basically saying, hey, it's a user. I know we have 3 projects in tandem, but it'll keep us organized better in the long run. So I'm going to create that. And now I'm going to open it in a new window. So now in our fight score app, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to create a file. And I'm going to have index.html. And let's just set up a bareback HTML page. Meta char set equals UTF-8, letting it know, hey, this is an HTML5 page. And those are usually supposed to be in the head tag, so we can do that. And then we're going to have a body tag, open up. And then from here, we're going to do div ID, and we're going to set that equal to app. Okay, now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to create a package.json file. And since everything is going to be near identical, I'm just going to copy and paste what I have here. So that way we get Webpack and all that other fun stuff. I'm going to paste that there, and then I'm just going to add UI to this, to the name property. Now what I need to do is I need to create a new file, and this is going to be index.js. We'll get to that in a moment. And then I'm going to go here, new file, and I'm going to create webpack.config.js. Cool. And once again, let's just copy this. I'll paste that in there. We'll get our package.json. Okay, cool. Alright, cool. So now we're going to need to open up a new shell tab. I know, guys, this is what happens when you try to juggle up a little too much at once. And then let's do cd. Let's go back, ls, and I'm going to go to fight score -UI. Okay, do ls, and now what I want to do is do npm install. And we wait for it to run. While we wait for it to run, I just want to make sure that everybody is still alive on the channel. Alright, cool. And in retrospect, what I could do is, no, I'll just create separately. For security, it'll be better. So when I launch this thing live, I'm going to put it on 3 separate servers. That way everything just kind of stays kosher. Okay, so right now that's loading. And while that's loading, what I want to do with our server is let's just start wiring up SocketIO. So I know I'm flip-flopping a little bit. Let's just make sure we get the basic wiring down for when we start doing some live events. Okay, cool. So what? My pups are awake. Oh god. Okay, that's done. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to do npm install SocketIO, and I want to do a -- save. That way it saves it live. And cool, we have SocketIO. And from here, please tell me my internet. Okay, my internet's still working good. So that would have been bad. Alright, cool. I'm gonna go to my repository. Alright, cool. Now, basically, I need to go into our server. I'm gonna close this down while it downloads the packages. Then I'm gonna go into let's go fight score server. That's what I want to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do var socket IO equals require socket IO. And then what I'm going to need to do is create var IO equals server equals SocketIO.listen. Basically, I'm going to do socket, not soccer IO, SocketIO. SocketIO.listen. And I'm going to listen to the server. So if I do SocketIO.listen.server, and we're good. And then basically, I just want to test for connections. And I'm going to do io.on. I've done this before. Come on, man. We'll do on connection. We'll do function socket. Basically, this is like what's going to go down with the socket. And then from there, I'm I'm just gonna do a console. Oh, then from there it's just a bunch of messages. Okay, sorry guys. Then from there I'm gonna do console.log. We have a connection, buddy. Okay, cool. So now how do we connect to it? Well, I'm glad you asked. Now we need to go to fight score, and I need to create a new component. And we're going to call this one the mission control component. And then we're going to import React, component. And then let's do some Googling here. I want to do console.log. Oh, wait, no. I want to look up SocketIO for React. Actually, nah. What I'm just going to do is do SocketIO clients, CDN. SocketIO download. Then we can just do this. For now, it'll work. Later on, we're going to want to actually make it part of the project. So we're going to do this. And then what I believe we do is, let's see, we go to the SocketIO documentation, docs. I've done this so many times, but yeah, so we just need to do socket equals IO and then the kicker to our local host. So our local host is listening in to port 3000. So what I'm going to want to do within mission control is I'm going to want to do export default class. We'll call this mission control with one L, not two. There we go. So we'll do mission control.js. And it's going to extend component. And then from there we need to do constructor props, super props. Okay, then from that point we need to do this dot state equals blank object, and then I'm going to do socket equals io dot connect, and we'll just do http local host 3000. That way we know it hits. And then we're actually also going to need Axios as well, because we're going to connect some Ajax calls here. Import Axios from Axios, because we're going to need to get a list of the fights again. And then from here, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to right now, we're just going to return a blank div. We're going to have a return a blank div. Okay, so that's good, that's good, that's good. And then we're going to need it to do some functionality, which we'll put into this guy, because we're going to need to like listen to sockets, right? So let's do this. I'm going to now import mission control into index.json. So let's do this, import events ./components / mission control JS. Mission control, and then from here I'm going to do route path equals / control. And then for component, we'll make this equal to mission control. So we'll send them to that page when they go there. So we're going to do error connection refused. Because we need to run our server again. SocketIO.listen is not a function. Wait a minute. I think we just pass it in the app. Okay, let me go to my server file. And then from here, instead of SocketIO.listen, I believe it's just SocketIO. And then you pass in the server. Now let's try that again. SocketIO is not a function. All right, let's go back to the doc. Something tells me, oh, it's socket.io. Son of a bitch. npm install socket.io -- save. Okay, so that should be good. Let's do socket.io.